A week ago, I asked for your feedback on Elite Dangerous. I wanted to see the type of content you wanted to see added to Elite Dangerous in the future, or if you were that way of thinking in hindsight, the type of content you would have liked to have seen added in the past. Now, the feedback has been very rich. There's been 1,200 different comments on the video in the past week, and I've put it all together into a brand new video here because I thought you'd like to see the type of things that the community would like to see. Now, to be very clear, 2 points here. This is just my own community here on YouTube. It doesn't represent the entirety of the Elite Dangerous community. That would be a bit of a stretch, a bit of a reach to say that, but it is nonetheless a significant number of people. Additionally, the idea here is not to put any pressure on Frontier. There's no expectation that this is the type of content that Frontier need to add into the game. This is just a discussion amongst the community here on YouTube, just a friendly little chat. And you know what, the community, the comment section in the previous video was all very friendly. There was no one having a go at each other, no harsh comments, and that was just really nice to see. Of course, not everyone's happy about Elite Dangerous, but a lot of people are. And that brings us right on to the results. Before we look at that though, if you're finding this video interesting, please do consider liking and subscribing. Honestly, it helps this channel out and these videos more than you could know. Now, it turns out that around about 52% of people are still very happy with Elite Dangerous. On the screen, we can see how that breaks down. Around about 52% of people are still very happy with the game. Meanwhile, 25% of comments expressed a negative attitude towards Elite Dangerous, whereas 22%, a little over, had a neutral comment. And this was people just expressing a desire for the game without really having an opinion on the game one way or another. That gives us a bit of an overview as to where things stand, but what would you all like to see within the game? Well, there's a massive different set of opinions here. I was entirely expecting to see a lot more people expressing interest in ship interiors. We've got 24% of people, near enough, expressing an interest in that. That is a significant amount, don't get me wrong, but I was expecting to see a lot more. I've broken out interest in ships. This is the desire to see new ships or other features related to ships into a separate category here, because obviously a new ship is not the same thing as ship interiors. And we can see just 6.6% of players want to see a new ship. Again, I'm pretty surprised at that. And then we come to exploration content and space environments. Now, some people are probably going to say that it's expected to see this type of breakdown on a channel like this, which after all was always focused on exploration content in the early days. So quite likely I've attracted an audience who are interested in that type of content in general. But nonetheless, there is a significant amount of people that want to see this type of content. Now, I've broken this down into two parts. Those of you who generally want to see exploration enhancement, and that might simply be getting down on planets and exploring caves or looking for other sort of resources down on planets or even in space. The other part is the space environment. So those people who would like to see space-based anomalies such as comets or improved black holes, that type of thing. So yeah, I broke these down into two different sections. Then we come to mission overhauls. I think that would be a good step for the game. Just 9% of people expressing an interest in that, but I think ultimately that is a thing which would really improve the game overall. And then 4% of people, interestingly enough, talking about a desire for modding support. How this would work, I don't really know, but when you think about it, a lot of Frontier's other games do have user-created content. The Planet Coaster games, the other Planet Zoo games and all those lots, they definitely do have player-created content, as does, I do believe, the upcoming Age of Sigmar game. And in a recent call with the investors, CEO of Frontier Developments, Johnny Watts, said that user-created content is very important for their games. So could this be added to Elite Dangerous in some way, even if it's just paint jobs, user-created paint jobs? Well, that's very much the question, but nonetheless, a lot of people want to see that. Now, I went a bit further into breaking this down. I didn't want to just look at percentages here. Instead, I wanted to also look at specific features, and we can see some of those here. So, enhanced exploration, modding support, mission overhauls, those are all things we've just spoken about. Let's get into a few specifics. So in terms of missions, people want to see NPCs being more involved in on-foot missions. What does that mean? Well, players have NPC crew members aboard their ships, and they do nothing really aside from being your ship. They can of course also crew your ship-launched fighter, but it seems people want to see them be more involved in the game. You've spent a lot of time investing in these NPCs, these crew members, and people would like to see them accompany them on foot missions, and that makes complete sense to me. I'd like to see that as well. You'd like to see repair mechanics integrated into missions. We do have a little bit of that for the settlements on planetary surfaces on Odyssey, but maybe the ability to repair some ships, for example, that would be interesting. More intense FPS experience. Now, I know some people out there feel that Odyssey's FPS is pretty good, but personally speaking, as a huge FPS fan, my take is that the FPS mechanics are, well, lackluster. They're not very good, functional at best. Even Starfield managed a much better implementation of FPS combat. So improvements here would be very nice to see, and some of that would have to come from improved AI. Story-driven content, not just rank up missions. People would like to see, it turns out, chains of missions. I'd like to see the same. So mission chains. And of course, more diverse mission types like science, exploration and rescue missions. Yeah, there's some of that, I guess. Diverse missions in Odyssey, diverse missions in space as well. But ultimately, a lot of them do tend to be just go to A and achieve B and then come back again. And I think people are looking to see something a little bit deeper. Now, getting on to modding, how would Frontier deal with this? Well, more specifically, what would people like to see? Well, it turns out people want to see the game engine opening up for modding. This is obviously going to be a problem in an online environment, but keep in mind that even games like World of Warcraft do have elements of modding ability. That has been in there for a very long time. You can get mods. Another very good example is Microsoft Flight Simulator's upcoming World Hub. Now, the idea here is to allow players the ability to modify the airports to make them more accurate to the real world. So that might be modifying the airport itself or the immediate landscape around the airport. This idea could be extended to Elite Dangerous, allowing players to insert explorable, interesting features into the space environment itself. There are, after all, 100 billion different star systems out there, so plenty of space for players to do this. The way this will work in a flight simulator is that simmers will be able to modify the airports, they'll then be able to submit those modifications. Microsoft will then approve them at some point in the future, after which they will be officially added into the sim via a future patch. An idea similar to this for Elite Dangerous would be fantastic. It would improve exploration whilst also leaving Frontier to be relatively hands-free with that part of the game. Possibility to mod the game in offline mode. Now, offline mode has been a big desire right from the start. It was, of course, cancelled right back in 2013 before the game even launched. But yeah, if that was to be an option, that would be a nice touch. A lot of people do, after all, still play Elite Dangerous in single-player mode. Then we come to ship interiors. This is an obvious one, but yeah, it's a big ask. Frontier would need to have a huge investment in this. It would need to be an expansion-sized update. A bunch of people out there saying, what would be the point of interiors, ship interiors? I have spoken about this in the past. In fact, I've got a dedicated video to that, so do check that out if you want. I will link that below. Players are keen to see more cooperative gameplay opportunities with ships. So yes, we've got wings, but they're limited and they don't work that well, to say the least. So my take here, this would be a case where the different players cooperatively would need to take on different roles and different activities to achieve a particular goal. I don't want to go into too much details there, but I think there's a lot of opportunities there. There's interest in surface-based housing and outposts. That's always been a request. Could it be possible? Well, the assets already exist in the game in the form of settlements, and those are used all around in different parts of the game. So I don't really see why players wouldn't also have the ability to go and try that. That's an interesting addition. Now, there's a note here that some of you are looking for ships that are more affordable. I think that is a bit of a typo on my part. What you're looking for is fleet carriers that are more affordable. Players are not too happy about the ongoing costs of fleet carrier management, and that is something that should be reduced down. Also, there was an interest in the desire to see smoother transitions between star systems and when dropping out of supercruise. This has been a problem right from day one. Sometimes it's more of an issue when the server is lagging behind, but either way, it would seem a lot more. The game would feel a lot more seamless if that very short pause, or sometimes a longer pause, was removed. A minor thing. Some of these are just quality of life additions. Some of them are much bigger. And then we come to two other different aspects of the game: the space environment and exploration enhancement. In terms of space environment, players want to see more variety in space environments. You're interested in discovering remnants of other civilizations. We've had a little bit of that in the past with Thargoids and the Guardians. More of that in a galaxy the size of the one we've got, with hundreds of billions of planets, would make sense, wouldn't it? And there's a desire for more atmospheric landing experience. So this would be planets with full-on atmospheres, cloud systems, flora and fauna. Do they really need to go to the extent of having dinosaurs down on planets and things such as that? I don't really know, but cloud systems and weather systems would certainly be a nice touch. And then we come to exploration enhancement. Players want to be able to fully walk around your ships for better immersion. I've added this in as an exploration enhancement because, well, it would also allow the ability to explore shipwrecks both in space as well as down on planetary surfaces, wouldn't it? And all the things that entails. After all, I'm sure players would like to be able to explore the interior of colony ships and other such things. Not to mention crashed Thargoid ships. Wouldn't it be great to get inside of those? Of course, that is a very big ask, but people are asking for it. You're asking for a wider variety of nebula models and atmospheric planets. Atmospheric planets goes back to the previous discussion, but additional brand new nebula models would be a very nice touch. There's plenty of space out there, a lot of areas to explore, and this would encourage people to go out there. I'm sure it would be much simpler to create new nebula models than it would full-on atmospheric worlds. So yeah, some potentially easy wins right there. That would please quite a lot of people, I'm sure. You want to see meaningful archaeological finds. Again, this is touching back to what we've seen previous, but that does make sense. And calling for, this is a big one, and I don't really see why I've put this under exploration enhancement. This shouldn't just be under exploration. You're calling for less grind and more meaningful exploration opportunities. In fact, we'd divide those two out right now. You want more meaningful exploration opportunities, but also you're calling for less grind. I think that is one of the big takeaways from a lot of the comments. Interestingly, there wasn't too much in the way of balance overhauls. I was expecting more people to say they'd like to see that, but I guess that all comes under grind in general. Too much of it by far, and that has always been a problem when it comes to Elite Dangerous. So yeah, it's an interesting breakdown of things that the community here on YouTube would like to see added to Elite Dangerous, and personally speaking, I think, yeah, they would add a lot of value to the game and perhaps extend its lifespan as well. At any rate, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys and girls next time.